how to write a CV for project management positions. My name is Guilherme and I'm a project management expert. I help professionals to become successful project managers. Before I forget, this content is part of the warm-up of the Project Management Summit. The Project Management Summit is a free event I'm going to make to help you to develop your project management skills. The only thing that you need to do here is clicking the link here and subscribe. Well, I'm going to talk about how to write a CV for project management positions. This is a question that I get quite often, and also I see in this survey that a lot of people they are trying to move from what they are doing, or they are trying to enter, they are trying to change their career to project management, or they are trying to enter the project management market. And of course, one of the first steps that you need to take in this journey there is to have a CV. So what is very important there? First, make sure you have an updated CV and a LinkedIn profile. Why I'm saying that? I think it was a couple of weeks ago, someone sent me a message on my Q&A box on Instagram saying, I want to work with project management, but I don't have a CV, I don't know what's a CV, and I don't care about it. I can tell you that nobody is going to reach you out and say, "Hey, I think you are a nice person. Do you want to work as with project management? Do you want a job here to work as a project management?" Something like that might happen, but the chances are very, very low. So you need to be prepared to have to engage with opportunities there. So how do you going to get prepared? Make sure you have an updated CV and updated LinkedIn profile. That's the first step. What we are going to discuss here in much more details about CV structure, how you are going to write it, what's important, why you are writing. So very important that you keep that in mind. One thing that you need to keep in mind while you are writing down your CV, it's your responsibility to demonstrate why you're the right fit for a position. I've seen people with a CV, then they send a CV to a company, and they think that the HR person will keep reading their CV with trying to figure out their CV to see if that CV is a good fit for a position or not. In reality, is that the recruiters in general they spend an average of 6 seconds scanning a CV. So they take a look on that one and see, does it seem that CV is a good for the position? Yes or no. If they think no, they throw the CV away. If they think yes, then they are going to read on that one. And of course, if they select a CV to be passed on for the hiring manager, then they are going to read the CV in the details. But your goal there is to make sure that in the 6 seconds the recruiter they can see, and sometimes they are going to use softwares and tools to scan your CV. There, we are going to talk about that. That you're a good fit for position. So how your CV looks like it's important. I got from several people they ask me to take a look on their CV, and very often I do. And a lot of times I take CV that just for me to understand because the format, the layout is so bad it takes me I don't know 30 seconds thinking what these people it's ugly it's not nice to look at that. So keep that in mind that your CV needs to be something presentable. It needs to be well structured. It needs to be clean so people can understand it. Remember, you have 6 seconds. If you have a crap CV, people will look at that and say, I know, and go for the next one. In reality, is most of positions, there's a lot of applicants there, and so most of people will never hear anything back, or just they are going to be declined right away. So keep in mind, your goal is to make sure that you highlight your profile for the recruiter so they can spend more time to understand why you're a good fit for the position. But it's your job to explain why you're a good fit for the position. It's not a recruiter or and you can even argue, oh, but the recruiter person, the HR people, they should take a look on that. They should, yes, that might be the ideal world. We live in the real world. You take it or leave it. Don't try to fight the system like that. That's not going to work. So, and of course, another very important item. Your CV is always work in progress, meaning that you are not going to have a final version because you're going to increase your experience, you're going to do more training, you're going to develop your skills, and there's always something to remember. So Keep in mind that you are always need to be building on your CV, improving on, taking a different look how you're going to improve your experience. Sometimes you're going to tailor your experience and so on. So this is very important for you to keep in mind. Everything that we are going to discuss from now on needs to come from the understanding that it's your responsibility to showcase why you're a good fit for a position, and you have 6 seconds to make the first impression, meaning that your layout needs to be decent, needs to be clear, needs to be clean, needs to be well structured, and then of course you need to tailor your CV. That's what we are going to talk about. So let's first talk about the CV layout, how it should look like. So your layout should be very simple. First, your name, contact information there. So name, phone, email, LinkedIn profile. And if you have a LinkedIn profile, you can customize your link. Instead of giving a crappy link, you can create a link with your name there. That's possible to customize on LinkedIn. Just a side note here. Then you should have WhatsApp professional summary, objective, or a profile. I like to call it a profile. And there you need to write down a summary highlighting your career, your skills, and what you bring to the table. And I'm going to talk about the summary in more details. And then comes your education, in case your education is it's very relevant. And then your work experience, your skills certification, and whatever you have in your CV comes after that. Remember, you want why the summary? Because there you should write down 3 to 5 lines about your profile that will highlight who you are. The goal of this profile here is to make sure that the HR person will read it and say, okay, let me take a further look in the CV. So this is quite important one, and I'm going to talk much more about that one. Education. Well, if you have an education that's relevant, or for example, if you have a bachelor, if you have a master, a PhD, then it makes sense that your education is in between your profile and your work experience. You say, oh, but I don't have a bachelor, I don't have a master. And depending on your experience, say, put experience first. Keep always in mind, why not putting the skills, certifications, language, preference, or whatever you can think about that you can fit your CV, your hobbies, because you want the person reading your CV, check your profile, and go directly to understand who you are. Your education can help on that. The skills not so much. Why? Because a lot of those skills is very difficult to assess. Everybody will say that they are a good communicator, they are good in problem solving, and they are good in analytical skills. These are general stuff, soft skills that for a lot of them will be very hard to assess. When we are going to talk more about those things to do. But so keep that in mind. Contacts information, name, and your contact information, your profile. Either you put your education, depending your education background, or like I've seen a CV say I only have like a high school diploma. So put your education, put your work experience first, because then it's more relevant there. And your work experience. Keep the structure simple. This is quite important here. Some mistakes that people do it while they're preparing a CV, and I'm going to show to you a bit of more my CV and more stuff that can give you more insights. First of all, first mistake, lack of tailoring. They create a CV and they send the same CV for everything. Once I talked with someone, they said, I've sent my CV, but I don't get answers. And I ask, okay, how many CVs you applied for a position? And I usually ask that question. Why? Because if you apply for 1 or 2 positions and nobody answers you, that's normal part of the job. If you applied, in this case, the person say, I applied, I think, for more than 200 positions, and there was nothing, no reply. Probably your CV is not working. That means that you need to work on your CV. So that's a very important part. And what's one of the things that you do for working your CV? You always need to tailor your CV to make sure that you are showing that, again, you are a good fit for a position. That's your main goal there. That's why you are going to tailor. For someone, oh, they're asking for someone with a civil engineering background. Make sure, of course, if you have it, you should never lie in your CV. But make sure that is there that you have, if you have it, of course, that you have a civil engineering background. That's quite important there. I want someone. They want sometimes they say I want someone with the experience in the construction industry. If you have experience with the construction industry, make sure it's there, highlighted there, construction industry. And I'm going to show you how to do that. Avoid overloading with technical jargon for two reasons. First, sometimes the recruiters they're not going to fully understand this technical jargon, so it does not make sense to talk about a lot of jargon that nobody will understand that. And depending on the type of jargon that you're using, even people working in the industry, they might have a hard time because I've seen people using so much jargon that people don't talk about that. People don't write like that in the real world. For example, when people talking about project management, what I do? Oh, I manage stakeholders, I mitigate risks, and just talking stuff that, of course, you study in theory because then you need to have a good theoretical foundation also to make sure that you can build your skills. But in the real world, people are not going to talk about that. So keep that in mind. Limited the jargon. When it makes sense to add jargon. Well, if the job description has jargon there, for example, if you are working with automotive industry, sometimes they have, I want someone with experience with APQP. What's that? That's the process standard to develop products in the automotive industry. That's a jargon, of course. But if it's in the jargon in the job description, APQP like FMEA, PPAP, then it makes sense that you write those jargons in your CV because again going to the point again that will help in the scanning if they're using a software or if it's their recruiter on the 6 seconds they are going to look your CV they are going to see their APQP, PPAP, FMEA and say okay then it fits my requirements so then it makes sense to use jargon. If it's not there, don't put a lot of jargon in your CV. Keep in mind, keep it simple. Your CV is for people understand more about you, what you bring to the table. It's not about talking about jargon there. And curious thing about jargon, someone once asked me to take a look on their CV, and they put technical jargon like the product code that they were working there, like a product code or handler, blah 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 blah, blah and a code, a serious number. And one of my feedbacks is, besides you and probably people working to your company, nobody else in the world will understand that. What this number means? I don't know. So explain what's your product. Put say, okay, it's a handler, pick and place handler that does that, blah blah blah. Then people can have, okay, I kind of can imagine what this person is working on. If you put just a code, a product code, nobody will guess that one. Another part, focus on duties instead of achievement. Focus on. Oh, this is written down in a weird way. So it's focusing on your achievements, meaning instead of your duties. I read it down the other way around. Uh, Focus on. Let me fix this. Uh, Focus on achievements instead of duties. What's that? Instead of saying risk management, and I'm going to show you even my CV the way I did it, and then you're going to say risk management, cost control. Yeah, this is what you're doing. It's basically your responsibilities. What did you achieve with that? Did you save money? Did you deliver the project on time? Did you have customer satisfaction and so on? Lack of structure on CV. I remember once I was helping a company to share their position around it. So I shared a job description with my network, and I got a CV where there was basically no structure. I think it was probably the ugliest CV that I've seen in my life. There was no formatting. It was like the guy just opened a Microsoft Word file, typed up a bunch of crap, and sent to me, "Hey, I want that position." I say, please improve that. Remember, I'm not like a designer or anything like that, so I'm not saying that you should have the beautiful CV or anything like that, but keep a minimum structure there where people understand. Okay, this is where this is coming from. This is the person. This is the profile. This is the education. This is the experience. This is a basic structure what I just presented to you. What are the other CVs? Excessive length, meaning that I've seen someone that was an intern that this person is looking for a position or was I don't know exactly for a position in project management with only internship positions, and this person sent me a CV that was, I think, 3.5 pages. Who do you think wants to read a 3.5 page CV? Nobody. Actually, nobody wants to read a 2 page CV. But a 2 page CV is enough. And if you don't have a lot of experience, make a 1 page CV. For example, I've been working with project management for since 2009, so I have more than 14 years of working experience. My CV has 2 pages, including my degrees. I have an engineering degree, I have an international MBA, I have a post-studies, and I have a bunch of certifications. 2 pages there. Nobody wants to read a lengthy CV. Why? Remember, your goal is to make easier for the recruiter to understand why you're a good fit for a position and invite you for an interview. Nobody wants to read a book to understand, okay, and try to figure out in the book why you are a good fit for a position. Keep it short, straight to the point. Neglecting soft skills. So, for example, the skill part, you can add what kind of skill that you have, like communication, leadership, problem solving, stakeholder management. Those are, of course, critical for project management. What's important when you talk about skills? First, you should never lie in your CV. And second, I've seen CVs from people that are starting their career and they write down, I have a proven track record of leading teams and delivering value in the project. And say, okay, have you ever worked in a project? No. How the hell do you have a proven track record of leading teams and delivering projects if you've never worked with that? And basically, of course, I did not ask exactly like that because that would not be nice. But I try to package in a nice way because although sometimes when I'm talking like that, I can be more rude. But if you are talking one-on-one, you always need to be respectful and you always need to consider what the other person will feel when you are delivering the message. So you can package the message in a right way. But basically, I say, okay, what's your experience that you can tell me that you have a proven track record? Then the feedback was, I did a 2 week boot camp, and then we did a project for our website and so on. I think there's some companies that are selling this kind of stuff, and they say, yeah, but a 2 week boot camp, it's not a proven track and hack record to deliver anything. Sorry to say that. So keep in mind that, of course, you need to add your soft skills, but of course, those soft skills need to make sense. Like if I say, oh, have a proven track record to design a spaceship. Have you ever designed a spaceship in my life? No, I have no idea, so I don't have a proven track record there. And then the next one is non-quantifiable data, meaning that you talk about I manage a project. Okay, what was the size of the project? Team size, budget, what did you did with the project, what this project was about. Always provide information because what do you want? You want to make sure that you are catching people attention there. So if you say I did risk management, scope control, cost control, and nobody understands anything what you are doing there. Bring more information about the project. What was the size of the project? What was the project about? Why this project was valuable there? Keep that in mind. For to help you to have an idea about what to write in your CV, as part of the extra content for the Project Management Summit, I'm going to share with you a downloadable material with a list of questions to help you to think about your experience, talking about transferable skills, and also talking a bit with this structure again. So keep that in mind. So let's see what does it mean a bit in practice. So what I'm showing to you here, that was my CV in 2015. I believe in mid 2015. I decided I want to have an international career, so I took whatever crap CV that I had in Portuguese and I decided to translate to English. So the version that you are seeing here, that's already an improved version. But what I want to show to you, first of all, my profile. You see here what I wrote in my profile: electrical engineer with project management experience, working in multicultural teams. Does it help me to know much about me? Not you. The only thing that you can grab from here that okay, I'm saying that I have project management experience, but I'm not saying how much experience I have, and I'm saying that of course I'm an electrical engineer. that's basically that. So this is one of the versions already in 2024. Of course, here I have much more experience and I have much more stuff, but pay attention not for the extra experience, but for the way of writing it. And of course, this was one of the things that I learned in the hard things because I keep saying this, sending CVs around, and of course I did not get anything back. So this is for you to understand. Everybody needs to understand that. And my CV in the beginning was crap. Then of course that's why I could not get any interviews in the beginning. But keep that in mind. So right now, one of the versions I have, depending on the type of position, I customize that for the position. For example, I'm a senior program manager. I have plus 13 years, so even more than when I wrote this down, plus 13 years of experience leading multidisciplinary teams on different industries, energy, automotive, and semiconductor. So now I'm providing industry name. I'm saying how much experience I have, and I'm providing some type of project because I say product development, and I'm saying also EPC projects, engineering, procurement, and construction. And I also say that these projects they were done in multiple countries, so I also provide more information about what I do and what I have been doing in the past years, and the size of the projects that I managed up, like 300 million in business case size. Of course, 300 million is not development budget side, but total business case. So you're going to develop a product and you're going to start it, and the total business case would be for the sales, considering I think in this case 5 or 6 years. So this is already a major difference in the profile, and we are going to talk more about profile soon. But keep in mind, look for the structure. I had a very crap profile that no one would see that, and then I work for skills. What are my skills? Then skills I put like MX, Microsoft Office, Microsoft Project, languages, goal oriented. But although this is interesting to have in your CV, if someone looks for this crappy profile by adding the skills before the experience, I'm only mm, increasing the resistance to the people, the person to look to my experience. What do I mean by resistance? Well, the person will just need to look more further to the page to find something interesting. What kind of the structure that I have today? Exactly the same I suggested to you. Profile, my education, because then it's relevant because it shows my education in Brazil, but also show my international education there, and then directly to my experience. Of course, and here yeah, it's just a piece of my CV. I cut it down because I want to showcase how I was putting my experience in the beginning, and for that I'm showing this same experience there. So here I'm showcasing that the name of the company it's Toshiba South America. I was project manager there. What did I think? How I should write my CV? I said coordinate and lead multitask team. Uh, Project management, then I put a value of the project. That's something already better because it gives a sense what size of project I'm working on. Although I did not mention the team, I could have mentioned the team here. I could then I mentioned that I have a solid experience in covering the process of a project from initiation to closing. Yeah, 5 minute process. In this case, I was referring for the PMBOK process groups, but this is kind of irrelevant to add here, to be honest. I could take it off the process of project and say initiation to closing, much straightforward. Define scope, create AWS, schedule, and budget. So I was talking about what kind of tasks, what kind of responsibilities I did have, what I was doing there. And what did I change right now? I say, okay, I was managing the project, so that's already different from coordinating teams. Uh, I was saying that, of course, I took it off the process and say I manage process from the design concept to the commissioning phase. So showing I'm responsible for everything. Then I'm mentioning what kind of stuff then I was responsible for the scope, for the time, for the P&L, profit and losses for the project there. And then I can here I provide information about the type of projects that I'm working on. I'm working on a wind farm. Then I mention where is this wind farm? What were about more about the challenges there. Then I mention here, okay, another then a substation. What was the importance of this substation? Oh, the substation was supplying energy for was one of the main power hub supplies there for more than 2 million people there. And then I provide another information. But from here to here, you can. I hope you can notice from the yellow thing, from the yellow green stuff, that you can notice that this is much more interesting already for the recruiter to pay attention on that one. So keep that in mind while you are doing that. How you should write your experience. There's something called the STAR method. STAR basically stands for situation, task, action, and result. How you handle that, for example. So what the idea is, you describe the context, so what type of project that you're working on, to provide some background. So you do that for yourself, not that you're going to write in your CV. Then you explain the task, the specific task that you had in your hand. Then you talk about your action, the actions that you take, and the result that you got there. Here, a very simple example. Situation. The company was experiencing delays in delivering client projects due to poor scheduling. Develop and implement a new scheduling process to improve project timelines. So introducing a project management tool like MS Project, for example, training team members and standardize workflows. That reduce the project delivery delays by 20% and increase client satisfaction by 15% in 6 months. So that's the results. What you're going to do? You're going to combine this to a CV bullet point. Implement a new schedule system, reducing project delivery delays by 20% and boosting customer satisfaction by 15%. That's the idea of the STAR method. So you're going to take all the questionnaire that you're going to get in the project management summit with experience. You're going to find out the situation, task, action, result. And after you write down like that, you can make this concise in a bullet point. Here, another tip that I can give to you: be concise, quantify the results, action-oriented verbs, tailor the role. But if you have those 4 bullets written down here, Chat GTP can help you in the process. So you can take the bullet point, you can take the longer description and ask, I want to have a bullet point to my CV, and you can get this, and the software can, the artificial intelligence can do that for you. Very important. You always need to review what you get from artificial intelligence, because sometimes you get very good answers and sometimes you get crap. And I've seen people that sometimes they cannot even explain. So people try to write down their CV, but they cannot even explain. Then they put a lot of crap in their CV that they do not understand. Proven tracker record. Okay, where is the proof for your tracking record, for your record here? No, you don't have experience. So be mindful. Whatever you get from ChatGPT, you always need to review it. And there's of course other examples here. One very important point here: mistakes while to avoid your profile. Being too generic, using a lot of buzzwords, and I'm going to show for like dynamic, innovative, motivated, agile, adaptive. It needs to make sense what you are writing down there. Focusing what you want, and I did have in my CV that in the beginning. For example, I did not put here, I'm interested in project management positions. Well, if I'm applying for a project manager position, I think it's already implied that I have interest in this type of position. So keep that in mind. Too long or too short. Sometimes you see people with one line, like interest in project management position. This is crap. I can show. Go back to mine here. Kind of too short and not very good. The one that I had before. Right now I have this one. I think it's already much better. Again, CV is always work in progress. So if I even look for this version 2024, I think there's plenty that can be improved here. More you look, more you're going to find things that you can improve. Keep that in mind then. So where I was. And what's a too long? I'm going to show to you also. It's a too long. Make sure that you have something relevant. Sometimes people are saying that's something that's not relevant. If you are missing key information, for example, if the job description is asking for a PMP position and you have a PMP, just write it down there. Make easier for people to find out you. And without managing, okay, what type of project that you deliver? For example, 5 million. I mentioned business case up to 300 million. And of course, I've seen a lot of people using cliches like team player with excellent communication skills, very motivated and proactive. Avoid using a lot of cliches. Why? Because everybody can say that they're a good leader. Everybody can write down they're a good communicator. Everybody can write down they're good in problem solving. Everybody can write down they're proactive. But in a CV, it's not possible to assess any of those things. The recruiter will not be able to assess just looking to your CV if you're good into your communication. They can have a clue because if you write down in a very crappy way, then you say you're good in communication, but I cannot even understand what you're writing down in your profile. So that's that's an evidence that you are not good in communication. So keep that in mind also. And of course, ignoring the target role. The profile is a place that you need to customize. And if you have a lot of grammar mistakes, that's also not a good thing, of course. So let me show you some profiles that I've seen around from people. Like, and of course, all those cases I'm showing to you here is from real CVs that people send to me and I comment. So this is one. Patient, hardworking, result-oriented individual whose ultimate goal of giving great contribution to today's dynamic business environment. What does it say about you? Nothing. I'm a good team player. Not possible to assess. Do you think if someone reads something that generic, they do not, the headhunter or the recruiter, they don't get anything from you? Because this is very generic. Anybody can write those kind of stuff. And like this is another one. Result oriented, high energy project manager. Leading by example, inspiring peaking performance. Then you look, okay, very nice. You should be the CEO of the organization. Come on. And of course, I'm making a joke here. I'm not trying to mock people here, but I'm trying to make a point. Anybody can write down those things. And it's not even possible to the recruiter to assess if those things are true or not. So try to make it easier. And let me put another example of what I mean too long. This is one of the other ones that I got it. I can tell you the recruiter will not even read that. Because once I got the CV, and of course I read it because I need to provide some feedback, I say, Jesus, this is way too long. And then I ask the person, I provide some feedback, and the person improved it for this one. Engineer with 5 years with experience in construction. So if the person is applying for a project manager position in construction, and one of the hard requirements, which I'm going to explain to you what's a hard requirement next, they say, okay, it's an engineer, so hard requirement match. 5 years of experience, hard requirement match. Experience in construction match. So by your profile, you're helping. If the person read that, then they say, no, okay, now I'm going to continue to read the CV here. And another one, hard worker, experience. Everybody will say they're a hard worker. Everybody going to say that they are good. So this is based after my feedback, what I asked to change. 4 years of experience with consulting. Now you know, okay, this person has experience instead of because saying that you're a hard worker or not, writing down your CV does not make anything. What's the other very important point that you need to understand there? Hard versus soft requirements. What's a hard requirement? It's something that's objective in a position, that's measurable, that's specific. For example, they can say, I want someone with a civil engineering degree. That's a hard requirement. I want someone with 5 years with experience in construction. That can be a hard requirement. Usually, those things are non-negotiable and they're easy to verify to your CV. And here's the point, of course, that you want to write down to your profile. Because if a recruiter quick scan your profile and they see their hard requirements, they are going to read that. And that increase your chance to be invited for an interview. What are the soft requirements? That are usually subjective, qualitative, and hard to measure. So it's not possible to measure that in your CV. Like stuff that I can mention: leadership ability, communication and teamwork skills, adaptability and problem solving. You can write down that you're problem solving. How they are going to assess if you are good on problem solving or not? They cannot. Emotion intelligence. How they are going to assess your emotion intelligence in your CV? They cannot. So this here is going to be based on assessment that you get for an interview. Not that's not relevant. It can be, of course, it's relevant, but if you don't have the hard requirements, usually you're not invited for an interview. For the soft requirements, soft skills requirements, they're going to assess that on that one. How you can understand what's a right hard requirement? Here I'm putting a job description there. They're going to look what we are looking for. What we are looking for, what does it mean? What are the requirements for the position? Proven experience in fast-paced, multifunctional project management environment. They are talking a proven experience. If you have 6 months of experience, it's a proven experience. Sometimes they have 10 years plus for senior positions, for example. I think I have one here. Nope, not here. Typically, 8 to 10 years professional experience plus 5 years in project management. That's a hard requirement that's easy to assess. Bachelor degree in project management, engineering, manufacturing, or business. That's a hard requirement that's easier to assess. Sometimes they can ask a hard requirement as a language. For example, I want a hard requirement that you speak German, French, Spanish, Portuguese, English, or whatever. So those are things that can be assessed. So hard requirements, it's important. Hard requirements, they are easy to prove. What's important when you are going to do your hard requirements here? If you are going to tailor your CV, and of course, again, never lie into your CV, but if you are going to tailor your CV, make sure that you write down the hard requirements that you have, following what you have there in the job description. So let me look here. Project management certification. This is mentioning a desirable. Desirable is not a hard requirement, it's a nice to have. And you can see also in the other positions, they are talking about certifications here as desirable or nice to have, meaning that if you have a certification, that will help, that can be an advantage. Yes. If you don't have it, but you still have a good profile, that's not going to stop you. Keep that in mind. There's another, if you're interested in more certification, there's an extra content just talking about certifications there. Go and check into my YouTube channel. But here are the points. You're going to look into the job description, see what they're writing down there, and then you are going to come back to your CV to write it down here. So let me go back to my CV as an example there. For example, they're asking for 10 plus years of experience. I make it bold in my profile, 13 years of experience. Match a harder requirement. If they're asking for an engineering degree, I can write down here that I have an engineering degree. If they ask for experience in the semiconductor, automotive, or energy industry, I can highlight this one. If they're going to ask experience in a size of project, I can highlight this one. Then I can come back and customize also in my experience. For example, in this case, it's a substation. If they ask, I want people with experience managing substations with more than 200,000 volts. Well, this is the type of substation I was managing on. So I can write this down here and I can highlight to the people to understand that. So that's how you're going to customize your CV. It's important that first you create then your general CV with information. You can create your profile, the structure of your CV, your experience, your achievements, what you did, what you did not did. And every time you see a job description that interests you, you're going to open your job description, something like that, or something like that. You're going to read this kind of stuff, and you're going to see how you're going to be able to write down those things in your CV. If you can match exactly the same word, even better. Here's just another hard requirement: U.S. government security clearance. If you are able to get that, and of course there are the rules there. I do not know what are the rules, but if you are not able to get the clearance, that's also not possible for you to work on that. Keep that in mind while you are working to your CV. So to wrap up what we discussed, I provide you what should be the structure in your CV. First, the main guidance that you have. You are the responsible for your CV. You are the responsible to show why you're a good fit for a position. So make sure that you can pass this initial scan to get to interviews there. Provide you with the structure that your CV should have. Again, information, profile, education, work experience, and everything else that you want to put after that. I already explained to you why I'm not going to go to that. I explain the STAR method to help you to how to write down. So what you're going to do there, situation, test, action, results. In the project management summit, you're going to get a questionnaire also to help to think about the different situations, text, action, and results to help you with this write down. I mentioned What are the top mistakes that people make or write down on their CV? I provide you with, I mention what are the top mistakes while people make while writing down their profile. And I explain to you what's a hard requirement and what's a soft requirement in a job description. Based on that, you should be able to write a very good CV. And I also give you examples to make this more concrete for you. What should you do next? If you don't have a CV, go and start to create one. And if you have a CV, start to work in the instruction I shared with you. Start to use the STAR method here. Improve your profile, and of course, make sure you customize based on the job descriptions. That will increase much more your chance to get to an interview, and after the interview, of course, to get a job with project management there. Don't forget to like and share this video here to make sure that also more people can understand how to prepare their CVs with project management there. But also, if you like and share this video, that also helps my profile to grow, and I appreciate that a lot. Make sure you don't forget to subscribe for the Project Management Summit. Project Management Summit, it's a free event. I'm going to show you how to improve your skills, and among other things, I'm going to share more stuff, more tips, how you can better improve your CV. I'm hoping that I'm going to see you soon. Thank you. Bye.